The new Black Clover chapter is just crazy and many of our predictions have come true once again. More on that right after the intro. Do you know those manga review titles and thumbnails where they always say that a character became a god? But it's really just an exaggeration. Well, Lucius literally became a god. And I will explain why. This is not a clickbait, it's actually real. And it also seems that one of our oldest theories has finally been confirmed, namely the existence of angels in Black Clover. Lucius turned Sister Lily into something that Asta called neither human nor devil due to her key. We'll explain why it can only be an angel. Lucius became the redeemer of the devils. His goal is to create paradise, literally the heaven on earth, where he can rule as a god over all the false angels. The beginning of the spell of the Undying bodies. We also explain why Lucius could be a reference to the devil Fur from demonology, who has the appearance of a deer but turns into an angel, a connection to his old squad, the Grey Deer. If you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. Please enjoy this video. Let's go! Before we start with the review, let's quickly talk about the predictions that came true. It has been confirmed that Lucius Zogratis has soul magic, as we have been saying since day one. Either soul magic or brain magic, this was the only way he could control Julius Novachrono. Furthermore, it was finally confirmed that Lucius uses a very special grimoire that changes its appearance depending on what magic is used. When he uses time magic, his grimoire is without a cover, and when he uses soul magic, his grimoire is with a cover. Also, Lucius turns Sister Lily into something. Actually, we said that she would be turned into a devil, although we were definitely wrong here. But we mentioned that Sister Lily might end up having something to do with angels. Not the most accurate prediction, but still it was more or less in the right direction. Of course, it could be that this is not about angels at all, but we'll go into that in more detail in the review. If it is indeed an angel, then of course our angel theory has been confirmed, which along with what Lucius said in this chapter would also confirm our devil redemption theory, in which we said that devils can be redeemed back to angels because all devils were originally angels. This is also a big topic in this video. Also, it was confirmed once and for all that Asta is indeed completely immune to Lucius' magic. Not just time magic as we suspected in the last couple of reviews, but also his soul magic, which is why Lucius can't control Asta or turn him into an angel. He is his natural enemy. Then it was also confirmed that the time Asta and Liebe can maintain their devil union mode has been extended. Now it's 10 minutes. And last but not least, if what Lucius did to Lily is indeed the Undying body spell, it means that all people will lose their control and will be controlled by Lucius. And that's it, but without further ado, let's get straight to the review and all the new predictions. After Asta cancelled the time spell, he and Lucius started a little fight. And here it must be said quite clearly that Lucius is simply on a completely different level. Asta has absolutely no chance. Which makes sense, of course, we all expected that. Asta should in no way have had even the slightest chance to compete with Lucius, otherwise this would simply be unbelievable even after the time skip. However, we didn't see Asta use anything new, apart from the fact that he increased the duration of the Devil Union mode from 5 to 10 minutes. To achieve this result, Asta has changed the way he uses the Devil Union mode. This is called partial use. By limiting the release of anti-magic, he can extend the duration of the form. Of course, this has its advantages and disadvantages. While he can use it longer, it is a little weaker. However, with this new technique, Asta has learned to focus the anti-magic on a single point instead on the whole body, resulting in a much denser and stronger force. With this, Asta tries to compensate for the power loss. We don't know how strong Asta's Devil Union mode really is when fully released, but he has definitely found a solution to fight very effectively with a limited version. In battle manga, after such a time skip, when the new opponent defeats the main character so quickly, it is often the case that the main character did not get to use, for example, their new secret technique, or even show how much stronger they have become, possibly even use new forms. So don't be surprised if Asta is actually much more powerful than what we have seen now, especially because, for example, Asta didn't show his new form with the fifth horn, which he used in the fight against Lucifero. So it's quite possible that Asta didn't even use his final form from the Spade Kingdom. This means that Asta has at least one more stage, but probably even one beyond that, which he learned during the time skip. We should not underestimate Asta. He probably wanted to get to know Lucius' fighting style first before he then wanted to get serious. But the fight developed so quickly that Asta didn't have a chance to get serious at all, especially because he then suddenly got totally surprised when Lucius transformed Sister Lily. We all know what Sister Lily means to Asta. He was totally shocked and then immediately defeated. But what power could he have received during the time skip that he might have held back? For example, the mystery of his additional devil marks, which has yet to be explained, could be a clue to a yet undiscovered power that Asta may have discovered during the time skip. There must definitely be a reason why he has a fifth horn and additional devil marks that do not belong to Liebe. Maybe there's some sort of hidden magic. Maybe Asta will be able to change the appearance of his grandma just like Lucius, but that's topic for another video. Then of course, the better control of anti-magic is the most obvious improvement that Asta must have learned during the time skip. Before the time skip, Asta started to unintentionally manifest anti-magic outside his body, which made him unable to be healed by Mimosa or teleported by Nacht Shadow magic, for example. So we can assume that he can control this effect now, which could of course also be the reason why Lucius is unable to use soul magic on Asta, just like Mimosa failed to heal Asta. Because of the manifestation of anti-magic, it could be that Asta has learned to use things like anti-magic zone or perhaps even anti-magic spells that can be used independently of his swords. Also, Asta could now possibly have mastered the simultaneous use of all anti-magic weapons. Liebe is shown during the devil binding ritual that this could indeed be possible. Asta just needs to be able to activate the effects of the swords through anti-magic without touching them. This will allow him to fight much more effectively while focusing on techniques based on anti-magic, if he has learned such anti-magic spells or is able to learn them at all. Also, there's always the possibility that Asta may have a new sword in his grimoire. Anything is possible. 1 year and 3 months is a long time, so don't expect that to be all that Asta is capable of. He literally didn't do anything. If you want us to make a video about Asta's secret power-ups, hit the like button, say 2000 likes so we have an indication of how much you want us to make a video on this topic. Let's continue with the chapter. After Lucius plays around with Asta for a bit, he suddenly transforms. Before we get to the transformation itself, I want to note that I'm skipping a little sentence that Lucius mentioned before the transformation, because it makes more sense after we talk about the transformation itself. You will see why. And oh my god, Lucius' new form looks so good. But definitely not what we expected. Instead of turning into a demon-like form, he became something that can be most closely described as an angel. He has something like a halo and even angel wings. Instead of being covered in the typical black devil skin, he is all in white clothing, similar to a spirit dive in which the color of the clothes change. At least in the case of Yuno, the transformation itself is also very similar to a spirit dive. When I look at this form, one devil immediately comes to mind, especially with those huge deer horns, the devil called Furfur. The interesting thing about this devil is that sometimes he changes his form into that of an angel, so Furfur has the head of a deer and the body of a human, but his appearance resembles that of an angel, mainly because of his wings. In his devil form, he is described as having bat-like wings, but he can also change them to indicate his angel form. This is literally how he is described. The similarities are just crazy. His teachings consist of truth, with which he brings answers and also wishes in exchange for happiness. In this chapter, we saw Lucius tell Asta that he will show him true happiness before he then transformed Sister Lily. This could be a reference to the devil Furfur, and the aspect of truth in Black Clover could even be a reference to time magic, as one goes to Astaroth when seeking the answer because Astaroth is the one who can give the truth about past, present, and future, just as it was hinted at in the last chapter. I don't know if this reference is important to the plot or just used for character design because of the Grey Deer, but if it is important to the plot, then the only other thing that we can use from demonology to make possible predictions is that Lucius might have a connection to the Witch Queen, which will make sense given the deer heads in her hole. In demonology, the wife of Furfur is actually a witch. Of course, not everything should be taken literally, but when it happens, we know where the reference comes from. Now we come back to the sentence we skipped a few minutes ago. Before his transformation, Lucius mentioned that even though he was born in a clan of devil hosts, he learned to use his magic to bring sacred power to people, that is, humans. And not only that, but to purify devil power. And that is very important. What did he mean by purifying devil's power? When you look at demonology and devils in general, the basic concept is always the same. Devils are fallen angels. Their soul have become evil because of the rebellion against God led by Lucifero. After losing the war, they fell from heaven to hell, where they turned into devils over time. The greatest desire of every devil, even though it is deep in their hearts and they will never admit it, is to be redeemed one day so they can return to heaven as angels. So a redemption is basically the process of purifying their souls and freeing them from their sins. In the case of Black Clover, it looks like Lucius is doing just that, taking the soul of a devil and turning it back into an angel, which explains this new form that he himself possesses. Just like he said he does, he purifies the power of devils. Apart from that, he also mentioned that he gives this holy power to humans, which then could also explain the transformation of Sister Lily. But no matter what Lucius does, all the angels he creates are not real angels in the sense of God. They are all false angels created by complex human magic. Their bodies may resemble that of angels, but they can still be evil if they are devils, for example, who have transformed into angels but retain their personality. They have been redeemed but have not changed, so they don't deserve to have their sins forgiven, so to speak. Lucius has literally taken the position of God and started to decide what is good and what is evil. The fact that Lucius became the Redeemer could explain why devils like Adramelech are devoted to him, because Lucius could have promised them to make them angels again. This in turn could explain why he was able to simply go to the last layer of the underworld and perform the ritual with Lucifero's body, or rather with Lucifero's remains. If Lucius promised redemption to all the devils, then of course they will betray Lucifero, because Lucifero is the one who does not want to be redeemed. Lucifero is the one who started the war in heaven with false promises. He actually wanted to be the king, and hell gives him just that. He is also the one who wants to continue this war against humans in heaven. He promised the angels who supported him victory over God and the other angels, so that he will then be the one ruling over heaven. Not one devil wanted to end up in hell or as a devil. This is all the fault of Lucifero, and many devils also blame Lucifero directly. Astaroth, for example, is one of the devils who actually holds a grudge against Lucifero for this reason in demonology. So Lucifero would never have participated in such a plan that was about redeeming all the devils, so it makes sense that he ended up the way he did, without anyone trying to help him. This means that it is possible that Lucius' true goal is to turn each and every devil back into an angel so that they no longer have a reason to be angry with humans, who are the main reason the fallen angels rebelled against God, because they would not bow down to humans. But in order to achieve total peace between the devils and the humans, the reason why they were envious of humans must also be removed. Therefore, it could be why Lucius also turns all humans into angels, which is why Lucius calls this form the actual form of humans. Everyone is supposed to be an angel. If both devils and humans become angels, then there's no reason why both races have to wage war with each other. Both will become the same being. This is the equality and fairness Lucius spoke of. With all this said, it seems that the reason Lucius is so obsessed with Asta's existence is not necessarily because he can't use time magic on him and see the future, which is probably one of the reasons anyway, but mainly because he can't use soul magic on Asta due to the anti-magic, and thus he will never be able to redeem Liebe and turn him into an angel, making Asta a human forever. Because of this, Lucius will never be able to create the paradise he dreams of. In Lucius' words, Asta is the flow of the world he wants to create, a world full of angels, a heaven on earth in which he is the god. But here I want to mention that it's possible that the reason Lucius can't use soul magic on Asta isn't necessarily because of the anti-magic, but perhaps because something about Asta's soul isn't as it normally should be. Perhaps Asta's soul is simply damaged. This could explain why he doesn't have magic and why he didn't receive a grimoire in the traditional way. But that's a theory for the next week, Wednesday. This theory is going to be really good. But that doesn't mean that Liebe can't be redeemed. Only Lucius cannot redeem Liebe because Lucius creates false angels due to the use of soul magic. But if angels really exist, then there must be real angels, and whoever is responsible for why the fallen angels became devils. Some kind of god. Maybe this god in Black Clover even has soul magic. Or if there's no god, then there's an order of angels who rule over heaven, as do the clever devils. This will then mean that the heaven is ruled by archangels. In fact, each position of the Tree of Life represented by one of the apostle elves on earth is connected to one archangel, just as the clever devils represent the position of the Tree of Life in hell, because the Tree of Death is the dark twin of the Tree of Life. If these angels really exist in Black Clover and follow the same system as the hierarchy of hell, then the supreme angel and ruler of heaven is an angel named Metatron. person. Possibly this is the person with soul magic. Of course, all this is simply speculation at this point. But if we assume angels exist, then it could be that the real angels actually start to interfere with Lucius' plan. Angels are often not allowed to interfere in human affairs. But if that is a rule in Black Clover as well, then I think it is time to make an exception. Because at this point Lucius will not stop on Earth. This dude will find a way to open the gates to heaven, and continue to do so in every possible dimension and every planet throughout the universe. This man must be stopped.
Just stop! Just stop it!
So let's keep this in mind. There are a few more things to mention about angels. First, spirit users should be able to awaken in angelic form because they clearly use sacred power called the Saint stage. This seems to be the pre-form of an angel stage. So it is clear that Yuno, for example, will achieve this form if this form actually exists and can be associated with the spirits. Perhaps thanks to the power of the spirits, Yuno and the other spirit users can avoid the spell that turns them into Lucius' angelic puppets. And the last thing worth mentioning regarding angels is that if all devils really turn into angels, then this means that magical attributes like spirit magic or the saint stage, which is used to be effective against devils due to the saint aspect, should no longer be useful. I don't know how this affects the effectiveness of arcane magic. Normally arcane magic should still be able to fight effectively against angels because arcane is simply a complex magic. The angel topic is really huge. That's a whole new dimension added to Black Clover, so we'll definitely do a separate video on that. Let's move on with the new Black Clover chapter. After Lucius transforms into what looks like an angel, he suddenly grabs Sister Lily to demonstrate something to Asta. He confirms that he has soul magic, which he can use to change the souls of those he touches. And then Lucius revealed something huge. To find out why it's so huge, you have to wait for the next week theory. He said that the soul is the source of a human's life, mind, and magic. Oh man! And you have no idea what's going on in my head right now. There's no time to put it all in this video, but be excited for next week. But since soul and magic were clearly associated with the statement, we have to assume that what happened to Charlotte many years ago must have something to do with soul magic, and with it possibly with Lucius. Because if we go back to the page where she explains the curse that was placed on her, it is described as a magic that changed the shape of her soul and thus her magic itself. Now this makes sense because Lucius makes a clear connection between soul and magic. This means that those who turn into angels could also receive a new magic, or rather an altered version of their original magic, just as Charlotte's red roses turned blue. Perhaps now Lily's magic has also changed. For example, instead of water magic, angel water magic or holy water magic. Similar to the opposite demon magic. Think of demon water magic. Imagine holy dark magic or angel dark magic. Oh my god. This again will be a problem because such magic should theoretically be very effective against devils, and since Asta will remain the only devil, this looks bad. Back to the chapter. Lucius then started to change the shape of Sister Lily's soul, transforming her into something that looks like an angel. Of course, we still don't know for sure if it's really an angel. She has angel wings, she has a halo, she has white clothes, and Asta confirms that she is neither human nor devil, so what else could it be but an angel? Sister Lily has completely lost control, just as we predicted. We said that the Undying body spell, which is probably what this is, will most likely turn people into demons or devils, which is of course wrong. But we also mentioned that they will not remain themselves, but will be completely under Lucius' control. That is clearly the case here. This of course makes sense, otherwise the world Lucius wanted to create would not work, as everyone would rebel against him, so Sister Lily became a mere puppet completely controlled by Lucius, the first of millions. One would think that Asta might be able to free the humans from their angelic form, as he did with the elves during the Elven Reincarnation arc, especially because the Elf Reincarnation is a clear reference of what is happening right now in Black Clover as explained in yesterday's video, link is in the comments. Asta's third sword affects the causality of magic and its effect, so he not only negates the magic but also its effect, such as the tissue damage caused by magical poison. However, we must remember that the reincarnation of the elves was an ongoing and unfinished spell that affected the human body and soul, but was not yet fully completed. Replacing the soul is a much more complicated problem than a magical poison, because the soul, as Lucius confirmed, is the core of human life, the source of magic and spirit, just as the soul is connected to the grimoire. If one exchanges the soul, then it is possible that any magic used on the previous soul will no longer exist. Thus Asta's third sword will no longer be able to affect the exchanged soul. Take for example the curse of William's face. Although Patry had the same body as William, the curse did not affect him because he has a different soul. So any magical effect works only on the soul, not on the body. This means that Lucy's magic did affect Sister Lily's soul, but with his magic he changed her soul itself, essentially creating a new one that is no longer affected by any spell and is fully under his control. So what can Asta do? He can't undo if nothing has happened. Lily's soul is simply changed. It's entirely possible that there's simply no magic left at that moment. The reason it worked on the elves is because of the incomplete nature of reincarnation. To complete the spell, the Apostle of Sephira would have had to complete the reincarnation first, which they attempted to do in the Shadow Palace. But they were stopped by Zogratis, who then made it clear to them that the humans were not responsible for what happened to them at that time. After that, they had no reason to finish the spell, and so the spell and therefore the soul of the humans remained until Asta was finally able to undo everything. It is as Patry said, once the spell is completed, the souls of the humans will disappear and never be able to come back. It's like the reincarnation never happened. This was possibly even a reference to the Undying bodies, so this is exactly what might have happened to Sister Lily now. At least that's what I believe. Obviously though, there will be a way to get her back to normal, probably by simply defeating Lucius, which could result in all the souls being changed back, since the source of the magic is no longer alive. Sister Lily then says that Asta should die for the peace of the world, which hits Asta harder than any injury he could have suffered. Immediately after this, his chest is slashed. Physically injured and heartbroken, Asta falls to the ground. End of chapter. Let's talk very quickly about possible predictions. Next, Lucius could obviously start to put his plan into action. It is not entirely clear whether he's leaving Asta by leaving the kingdom or the specific place, or whether his goodbye refers to Asta being defeated. If Lucius' words refer to Asta's defeat, then Lucius could start turning the people of the Clover Kingdom into angels one by one. I see no reason why he should just turn Sister Lily into an angel and then just disappear, unless Sister Lily is important. So it is possible that his next target could be Noel, Sacre, or Mimosa, and of course all the captains and literally everyone in the kingdom. Now it makes sense why the Black Bulls and Yuno were outside the kingdom. Remember what we said a few weeks ago, that there are only two reasons why Yuno is on a mission. Either the mission itself is important, or he is not in the capital due to whatever Lucius is up to. I think that's pretty much confirmed now. Yuno misses this show because Lucius would have turned him into an angel, and Tabata clearly needs Yuno on the human side next to Asta. But when it comes to Yami and his devil heart, I see very bad chances. In our last video we said that Lucius will turn Yami into a devil. Now of course that theory has changed to Lucius will turn Yami into an angel. Link is in the comments. In general, Lucius should start the whole Undying body spell now. There's really nothing more to say about it that we haven't already mentioned. What do you think of this new Black Clover chapter? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please leave a like, it really helps us a lot. And if you want to see more Black Clover content, Black Clover theories, and Black Clover chapter reviews, then subscribe to our channel with the notification bell activated. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.